Hi viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. So as I trace back into my life history, I could identify very clearly two periods where I was not very ENTJ. In fact, I wasn't even very happy. What were these two periods? My secondary school days and the army days.
Whenever you hear room down, go!
So I come from a missionary all-boys secondary school. And of course, during the army time, it's all boys and all males as well. I would say that during these two periods of my life, I was just average, mediocre, and only getting by.
Dodgeball! And the championship match is underway. Average Joes versus the Global Gym.
And I always identify these two periods in my life as very low points in my life. I seem to be very contrived. I'm just very obedient. I'm just not myself. There is nothing to express my individuality. I am just one of them. And sometimes it makes me unhappy. Even though I did not realize it at that point in time, when I look back at that time, I was actually a very unhappy individual. But didn't realize it because I am FI inferior. So at one point in time, I thought that the common theme between these two periods where I was very unhappy was because I was with a lot of other males. So I thought that being with a lot of males had triggered this instinct for me to be very competitive. And I thought for a very long period of time that being competitive keeps me in this high combat mode, and therefore it stresses me. But now that I know MBTI, I realize that the common thread is not that it is all male, but there is a lot of structure. And as an ENTJ, I cannot stand structure, and I cannot stand structure that I do not agree with. So for the army and for my secondary school, there is no choice. I just have to obey, I just have to keep up. So at that point in time, those 6 years of my life, actually 6.5 years of my life, I was just really getting by, surviving, going through motion. It's a very good way to describe how I was as an ENTJ. So everyone thinks of the ENTJ as a natural leader, right? No. In my secondary school days and in my army days, I was hardly a leader. But of course, I have leadership tendencies. If I were picked to be a leader, of course, I want to be one. Unfortunately, nobody noticed me. So I think that this is a problem with me. So in my secondary school days, my classmates would probably describe me as a mugger, someone who doesn't have a lot of friends, and someone who is eccentric or aloof. So the ENTJ definitely aloof. But it doesn't help that I have SI blind spot and I have to go through rituals, routines, and structure. So actually, the ENTJ is not a defiant person. They may not like certain rules if they are in a secondary school or in the army, but they cannot do anything about it because it's already there, it's for everyone, and it's mandatory. So the ENTJ is very likely to conform. And a conforming ENTJ is not a happy ENTJ, for sure. So it's just like forcing a square peg into a round hole. More like forcing a star-shaped peg into a round hole. It can fit, but there are a lot of empty spaces. So it's not a good fit. So the ENTJ can be obedient, but he is forcing himself to be obedient. No good. So given that SI is my blind spot, having to be under an environment where SI is expected all the time, such as in a missionary boys' school or in the army, does not help the ENTJ at all. So I generally feel very contrived. I feel that my creativity cannot be expressed. In fact, the only time I can express my creativity is via my academic work, like writing essays. In fact, during my secondary school days, believe it or not, literature is my favorite subject.
Madam, your mother calls.
Thinking back into the past, I was a student and I was a soldier who did not want to stand out. Actually, deep inside me, I want to stand out, but I wasn't able to do so. Something is just pressing me down. I did not want to get into trouble either. So this is why I would say that as an ENTJ, I was very mediocre. If now, as an adult, I were to go back all the way to secondary school and to the army, would I behave differently? Definitely. Now that I am more experienced, I know what I should do or what I could do. But it's too late. Just couldn't go back to the past. So as an ENTJ adult, I try my best not to be institutionalized. I do not want to go into any organizations anymore, and I'm very happy being self-employed. Actually, I do a lot of contractual work at the moment, and it really serves me well. So if I were to go back to a place where high structure is expected of the people inside, like students or soldier, I am going to be unable to function very well. And I have difficulty, even as a student then, abiding to rules, especially stupid rules. So this is why I mentioned in the episode how to be an ENTJ. In order for you to shine and be the shining star that you're supposed to be, you must not keep yourself institutionalized. You must be the boss. You must rise up and be the one who decides the rules. Because as an ENTJ, it's very hard to abide to rules. Of course, not organizations are bad. I am only referring to organizations with a lot of red tape. And of course, government agencies would belong to this category. ENTJs may have to avoid this in order to stay happy and healthy. So ENFJs also have SI as their blind spot, but I think ENFJs are surviving much better than the ENTJ, the poor ENTJ. Because ENFJs have a very high network. They have a lot of friends and they attract a lot of friends. So they can survive very well even in those circumstances that the ENTJ may have a lot of difficulty surviving in. Well, it is not bad, I am getting by, but on hindsight, I was not enjoying it. But I didn't know it because, as I was telling you, FI is my inferior function. I was just like, okay, getting by. I think it's okay. I was doing very well in secondary school academically, and okay, my performance is just like average in the army, but I wish I could have done much better. So fellow ENTJs, do you have such problems? My advice is to avoid structure altogether, because ENTJs cannot survive well in structure unless you are the one deciding the structure. So therefore, do not go and commit any crime and get yourself in jail, because you will not do well in the jail. The good thing about ENTJs is that they learn very fast. So if I were to go back to the past, I can be myself and be very self-assured. People can call me a troublemaker, people can call me an outcast. That doesn't really matter, because now I am strong enough to stand up for myself. And I hope that this video also helps young ENTJs who are trapped in institutions. It's not that bad actually, you get by, and when you're out of this institution, get ready to shine. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this video. It's a very short video, but nonetheless, I think it's very meaningful. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more ENTJ and psychology. Alright, we're gonna sign off now. Alright, I'm gonna sign off now, and I'll see you in my next episode. Goodbye!